Joining us now, as we mentioned, we have Dr. Brian Mann. He is the owner of Dynamic Sports Medicine. What's up, doctor? Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. How are y'all?
Good.
Does an apple a day really keep the doctor away?
I haven't had that any success with that. I have people eat a lot of apples, but no go.
Okay.
I'm the doctor you want to come see.
Since we have an actual doctor in the house.
Yeah, no, I'm the one you want to come see. You don't want to stay away from. It's our clinic's very homey, fun vibe there. So it's a lot of people want to come see us. Yeah.
Don't eat apples. Go visit.
Well,
yeah.
I can't promise that. Like, I'm a big fan. That's kind of what I ate for dinner just now because it's like all I can eat for dinner at the moment since I'm just busy.
As I drink my wine.
Yeah.
That's fine. I got some bourbon right here, so we're good.
Well, guys, like, thanks for the invite.
We have to study tonight.
Yeah.
So during quarantine, and I'm excited to have you just in general because big fan of your work, and we'll talk about that in a second. But I feel like before we super dive in, TikTok is a big trend, and I feel like as a marketer, I need to make sure I discuss this with you. The whole popping, cracking, trend all over social media. It's a big deal right now. Like, are you considering getting into that?
Yeah, this comes up every week probably in the clinic. A lot of people do that. I personally, my vibe, my personality, you may catch on as we're going. I'm more like a chill, kind of low key behind the scenes. I don't do a lot of in your face stuff. I don't think it would go very well with my personality. I've kind of thought about it. I had to delete TikTok because I did those 2 nights in a row where I was up till midnight just scrolling senselessly. So I had to delete it. But people ask every week. I don't think that would vibe with me.
Maybe, but those videos are extremely popular, so it could be a marketing tool. I thought.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that may be why some of the athletes do want to come see me because I'm not like, hey, can I record everything we do?
That's a very good point.
You don't want to crack the neck and then just go through the whole thing that there's.
Yeah. Some of those guys have some serious swag with that, though, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, despite the fact that you have a TikTok, I feel like you're doing pretty all right for yourself, even without it. It's pretty impressive to look at your resume. Just to name a few of obviously you have your own practices here in Dallas, and you're so skilled at what you do. But you have a lot of people that you work with, and a lot of great clientele. Team USA, to name one, that's a massive accomplishment in itself. A lot of people that the folks who listen to this show recognize as well. Dak, Troy Aikman, Zeke, Dez are all some guys that you've dealt with in the past. I know you work a lot with Dak too. Talk about kind of what it's like working at that level of the game. I imagine it's just a little bit different than just dealing with the layman at times, but also I'm sure there's some synergies all the same.
Yeah, he and I clicked initially. I grew up in a trailer in Oklahoma and he in Louisiana. So I think that's kind of where we clicked a lot out the gate. At that level, to me personally, it's all about communication and confidence and having the ability to hey man, somebody else may be better at this thing than I am, but kind of me doing what I'm good at and communicating the whole way. The clinic is all going to be custom tailored to whoever comes in there. So you don't have to be Dak Prescott to get that kind of treatment. But those guys specifically with me, it's personally, it's all about communication. I'm traveling across the world with Team USA or whoever that is. I'm big on communication, availability. The answer is always yes. There was this past, I'll give you a little tidbit here. This past holiday, Zeke forgot it was Christmas on a Friday. He's like, hey man, can we do Friday? And I'm like, man, let me run that by my wife. I was going to try. And then he realized it was Christmas and was like, dude, forget it. You're fine. But I was going to try to figure it out.
Nice.
Yeah. So awesome. You're hey, listen, let me check with the family, make sure Santa Claus has already come through, and then I can see if I can make the round.
Yeah. I was going to try.
That's awesome.
Well, I want to talk about that right there.
I want to talk about that for a minute because one thing that I feel like I've noticed about you and and just our interactions that we've had, and then just looking kind of at your social media and the things that you put externally, it feels like obviously you take your business and your skill very seriously, but it feels like on top of just what you're doing with the rehab process and maintaining bodies, there's almost a philosophy that you layer on top of it too. One of the things you just mentioned, you and Dak can't on the fact that you guys both had similar upbringings and similar starts, but you have a photo with him that I really loved, and you said no goals are too crazy. And so can you speak to kind of your philosophy in terms of how you approach this business, not just in the healing process, but also like the mental side of it too?
Yeah, my mindset is going to be more of like if he said, looked me in the face and said, "Hey, I want to win the next 10 in a row," I would be like, I wouldn't laugh. I'd be like, "Okay, let's get to work." Same thing. I may all the way down to you may want to be able to play catch with your grandkids, and you can't do that, and it may be an unrealistic goal after 5 shoulder surgeries, but I'm going to try to figure it out. That little specific scenario that there was a little kind of convo a few weeks ago. When we had met, I remember making a comment of like, if you want to throw 100 touchdowns this year, like, let me know. And we kind of like, haha. But apparently I had said something else. I forgot about his brother. He brought up, I had said something like, if you want to throw for 6,000 yards, but I'd forgotten that I said that. And then a few weeks ago, his brother was like, well, you were on pace to do that, man. And I was like, oh crap, he was. So any like crazy goal, I'm like, let's figure it out. I guess partially like me growing up the way I did, like trailer, small town Oklahoma, like just to even get out of there and have a job was a big deal for me. So I'm like, once I got out, I'm like, okay, well, what else can we do? So I really like that mindset. And after we watched the GOAT on Sunday win his 7th, I'm like, golly, what am I doing? I need to focus a little bit and try a little harder, huh?
No kidding.
You're going to get Dak there. I just know it.
Yeah. The next 7 in a row, right?
I mean, I wouldn't hate it. I think that's really cool. I love that you guys have that type of a relationship. And there's been a lot of discussion about Dak too. Obviously last year, not having him on the field for the entire season due to that super unfortunate injury. But like you said, even in that time that we did have him, it just felt like there was some magic and it felt like things were different. And it felt like he was just producing so well. And if he didn't prove to this team before what he means to them, I mean, damn it if we don't know now, because we all saw how the end of the year kind of netted out for this Dallas Cowboys team. But I'd love to kind of get your thoughts on just, you know, him as a person and him as a professional, like what it's been like to work with him, if you could speak to that at all, and like really what he brings to the table when it comes to his work with you, because I feel like that's been lauded a lot. I know I've been lucky enough to work with him in a professional capacity with sponsorships, but I don't feel like sometimes he's pretty quiet about all of the work that he puts in. And when it comes time to be paying the man like he deserves to get paid, I, for one, am so down to talk about how great he is and the amazing work that really he is doing behind the scenes as much as we can.
Yeah, he won't toot his own horn, so go ahead.
Yeah, he definitely won't. So I'll have to hold back a little bit on how much I tooted, obviously, just knowing him. And back to your TikTok comment, I mean, that might be where I'm like not as in your face. Obviously, modern day marketing, yes, I have to like use Instagram and take advantage of a little bit of that. But the reality of it is, yeah, once we got to know each other and got clicking, he's such a genuine guy and like hard worker. I think we just kind of pushed each other, and like he would see what I would sacrifice, the amount of time I would put in, and I see he's willing to put in more work than me. So that's a whole lot easier for me to stay up late at night when my wife's asleep next to me watching a video, checking out his hip internal rotation from the week before to make sure it's where we want it. So just seeing him being able to put in that work, push himself, he's so genuine, he's so humble. He works so hard. I mean, just going to lunch with the guys, like going to lunch with your best friend. It's like just a normal, like human, like anyone that's talked to him and I've been around him, he's always there for him. He's like going to talk to him. He's going to give him that time. It's just like your best friend being there. I've never seen him be rude to anybody or anything like that at all. I just see him go out of his way to give back to the community here in Dallas. And obviously, yeah, that's going to make me want to work harder for the guy and push more for the guy. He's just such a good dude. It's awesome to be around. He's such a competitor, working super hard. How could you not want to work hard for somebody like that?
I love that you said like the hip rotation, and the first thing I could think of is, you guys remember, was it last season or the year before?
Did you teach him the dance?
I did not. I would love to take credit for that, but no, that is a great move though. I was like super thrilled to see him doing that a few years ago even.
That was so good. I was like, oh, come on. That'd be amazing if you can claim.
I like how me and Kelsey were on the same length. We're like, yes.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, but I think that's really great. And I'd love to just address, you know, obviously there's been a lot of things that have come out recently. And I mean, if this man hasn't faced some setbacks in his life, and B, especially in 2020. And I love, you know, as someone who works really closely with him, What do you feel like you've been able to witness and see in just his leadership and his resilience? Do you feel like that's been more apparent than ever? I know you've been working with him for a minute, but man, I mean, it's like one thing after the other, but he still remains positive, and he's still in the building, or he's as much as he can and around. Again, like from everything that I hear and everything I see, he's involved. He's even from a social media perspective, when he can't like physically be there, he's like hyping up guys. Like it's kind of mind-boggling to me to go through all of that and still be as positive as he seems to be.
Yeah, that's amazing, right? To see that. Like, I don't know that I would be capable of the same mindset, but yeah, I've never, I feel like watching the injury, obviously being there and seeing what happened, but I feel like he does a phenomenal job of like processing those emotions. I felt like when he started to get teary eyed, it was because he could feel like the love in the building. I need to ask him about that, but I feel like he could feel that love. So he gets teary eyed, goes to the emotions. And then it's a very logical, like, okay, cool. It's time to get to work. I got to get back from this. What am I going to do? Similar to that Tom Brady mindset of like, what I'm going to do, like dwell on it or get angry or upset or sad and make the situation worse. It's like, it just drives you to be a better person. Before I even worked with him, there was a college teammate of his that I work with. And he's like, I've never seen a better leader on and off the field, and just seeing him interact with anybody that I'm around. That's 100% true.
That's cool. I love that.
Yeah.
So AKA, as if we needed one more reason why we need to pay the man.
Right.
I mean, we need him in the building. Like I am so big on intangibles, and especially in a position like that. And I've been around the team for a minute, and it just feels different with him. It just feels different with him. He just captures the room, all sides of the room. It's not just like one group, and people want to fight for him. People want to fight for him, whether he's on or off the field. And you can't just pick anybody, even as talented as they may be, and build a team off of just talent alone. Like, you need the whole package. And I could go on and on, but he has it. He has it.
I compare it to that the last Super Bowl that Peyton won, when he obviously was not as good as he had been in previous years. Just that leadership component that you can't measure. He's got it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'd love to just dive in a little bit more on we work with a lot of athletes, and so not just quarterbacks, but I would imagine it's different working on an athlete versus working on someone like myself, a high school hero athlete.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there's like some key differences in how these guys like train and prepare, and also adding a different layer on top of that? I mean, again, talk about facing some setbacks. COVID in itself has been really difficult, and you've had to be training from afar. And I'm sure that you've played a big part of that, because you're a big component of a lot of these guys' teams and making sure that their bodies are ready to be on the field. So what's that been like, helping these guys prepare in such unprecedented times? And then can you speak to maybe some of the nuances that maybe people like myself wouldn't realize that like a tight end would do differently from like a quarterback or something of that nature? I just find it fascinating.
Yeah. So high school athlete, your high school hero, obviously usually someone's coming in for like, hey, my knee hurts, my back hurts. We're trying to fix that. And hopefully if you're 100, or hopefully you go live well beyond 100 years. So if you're 25 or 35, it's like, man, we got a long way to go, and you got that back's hurting you that bad already. So a lot of that, we're doing a lot of corrective stuff. COVID, people are sitting down all day. So a lot of communication, like I had said earlier, of, hey, what are you doing? What does your office chair look like? Are you sitting down all day at work, or are you turning to your left? Or if you're a dentist and you're turning to your left all day, that a lot of that's communication based. So game plan is very custom tailored. I kind of wait till that second or third visit to see how you're feeling from sport to sport. Whereas like a golfer compared to a basketball player to a football player, obviously different breakdowns on that, but position to position in football, if you get some big guy that's just going to attack people all day, like a DeMarcus Lawrence, he's going to do great no matter what. You just kind of keep him together. Obviously there's little fine tuning things we go. It's a little bit easier to talk to more like that quarterback position. So if I get a quarterback from a big name college or a high school athlete, we're breaking down things pretty much immediately. Is the shoulder external rotation where we want it to be, or is it your thoracic mobility is not very good? So we're kind of breaking the body down from that upper half and lower half. The big thing now is like people are using the ground to throw with. So they're already pushing off that back foot well. Like I spoke to that hip internal rotation earlier. So we're looking at everything, every little joint, every body part to make sure it's mobile in the right areas, stable in the right areas. And I would say the same thing applies to your weekend CrossFit guy or your school teacher. And we get everything from babies all the way up to people up in their 70s, 80s.
So it sounds like you almost have to like coordinate. You could potentially be doing some communication with coaching staffs too, because you're working on actual like processes and movements. And you kind of have to be lockstep, not only with the athletes themselves, but also, hey, like what's the left hand trying to teach, this person to do? And so making sure the right hand is at least kind of in as lockstep as possible. There's some coordination, it seems like it would be.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier if I have any communication at all with their coach. Let's say golf, for example, swing coach. If he's like, hey, man, I'm trying to get him to use his lower body a little bit more. And he doesn't notice something that I do where let's say his right lateral flexion of his lumbar spine is not where I need it to be, but I can make up for that with some hip internal rotation. And we can start to go through some corrective exercise or me get some more mobility in a certain area through what I do hands-on soft tissue wise. We have a lot of high-end technology that we use for those things too. So a lot of fine tuning. Really, it's to be honest, if all about communication with the way I approach it. Like I want to have that good relationship where you're going to tell me like, hey man, this is what I like, this is what I need, and I can be straight up with you on at the same level.
That's awesome. Meg,
how's my guy Neville Gallimore?
I didn't get to work with Nev as much as I wanted. He's a big guy. I was excited to work with him, like him coming out of Oklahoma.
I saw him on your Instagram, so I got really jazzed about it. He's like my favorite rookie. So
he's great, right? He was great, right? He's huge. I mean, he was great at OU. Obviously, I was a big fan. Me being an OU fan, but man, he really did great at the end of the year, right?
Oh, so good. I was so impressed. I had high hopes going in. I think I liked his name first, and then I liked him too.
Yeah.
We have a thing for those OU guys here in Dallas. Feels like,
well, and him being from Canada too, like that's cool, right? Like he didn't play hockey or anything else. Like that's pretty cool, right?
I know.
He would be lost on hockey, honestly.
I mean, okay, listen though, hear me out. If we bring back the whole like grinder phase, like he might make a lot of sense in that regard. Like that could be a good thing for him.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, right.
Are we going to start like placing football players into like basketball positions and like hockey positions?
Okay, so LeBron as a football player.
Yes.
I love it.
But so going back to your Instagram though, I was, kind of deep diving on it and noticed like you have a lot of signed jerseys. So how many do you think you have?
Man, I don't know. At the clinic, I've got 1, 2, 3. I could probably tell you hanging up there. I have a handful. I couldn't tell you at home because some of them are and aren't hanging up. We redid our house this summer, so I gotta kind of decorate our room here a little bit.
Is it a man cave or is it allowed to go like out of the room?
We don't call it the man cave here. We should. My last name's Mann. The kids,
Man with 2 N's.
Yeah.
I know the kids call it the media room. Yeah, I got this like really cool. My grandpa he passed away, but he had like his heroes. It was like Johnny Unitas, Mickey Mantle, Ben Hogan. So I got a really cool Mickey Mantle photo, like this black and white, of him like tossing the helmet as he's walking off. I think we're going that retro look in here.
Yes.
I love
it for it.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I'm all about that. I'm definitely all about it. My favorite autographs though are like, if a player ever gives me an autograph, I'm like, listen, don't sign it outright. Like you got to sign something, like you got to give me like a personal message. Like my favorite one, and I can't even share it on air, is my Charles Haley one.
Yeah.
It's classic Charles Haley. And
okay.
Doberman.
Yeah.
I have one of those that I can't share. There's one behind me. My grandpa, he was like just a buddy of mine growing up. He was the huge Johnny Unitas fan. So in 8th grade, I wrote Johnny Unitas a letter like, hey, will you sign this for my grandpa? There's a photo like right here that he like personalized like to Wayne, best wishes, and signed it. And then when he passed away, I'm like, that's because he's like the original GOAT. Me personally, I thought what Dak wrote on there was pretty cool because he put no goals are too crazy, just because it was one of our first combos, and it gave me a lot of insight to how much he remembers. So I'm very careful of what I say around him now, because he doesn't forget. He doesn't forget anything.
Steel trap.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably a good and a bad thing. A good thing for what he does, but also a bad thing for, anyone that decides they want to talk poorly of him.
No, he doesn't. Yeah, it's like crazy what he remembers. I'm like, dude, how do you? I'll tell him like some meaningless story like months ago, and he'll be like, hey, did you ever? And I'm like, what? How do you? What? I don't remember saying that. Yeah.
Awesome. Do you have any like final words for people just about, Dak? And as we kind of go through all this again, like he's just such a big topic of conversation, but what I really do, like I've loved about our conversations is, again, like adding some color commentary to Dak as a human outside of just the awesome athlete he is. And I really can't say enough good things in my personal experiences with him. And I know you have such a great relationship with him, but is there any other like light you'd love to shed on just Dak as a person and who he really is?
Yeah, a quick little story would be good. Just like with what you had said, like how genuine he is. We had Fletcher's corn dogs at the clinic one time, and he came up to. I knew he was coming to get corn dogs. I just didn't know when, and I was busy. And like people just pat him on the back. Hey man, like good, like hope everything works. All that, and he's like, hey, yeah, appreciate it. There's a guy that I treat. He's a huge Mahomes fan, Texas Tech guy. I'm an OU guy. He was always a Dak hater, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna get you to like him. I'm gonna get you to like him. I'm gonna get you for years. And then I start working with him and like whatever. And then he's like, no, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And so I was like, hey, Dak, do me a favor real quick, bro. He's like, what? I was like, this guy's a Tech Mahomes fan. Like, can you just go talk some crap? I didn't say crap. Talk some crap to him for me real quick. And so all of a sudden he's like face down on the table, and like I see his head poke around. He just mouthed off something about Texas Tech. This guy, like, he's like, I'm going to go buy a jersey. I love this guy. It's just like a genuine, just like, dude, like just a good guy, like just a normal, genuine person.
Yeah, that is such a perfect. I couldn't have. That's perfect. Like that is at its core, like who he is. And you say that, but he's, again, in my experiences with him, it's always been he's like that with everyone. Like he doesn't care if you're the janitor or he doesn't care if you're, the highest profile person in the room. He's going to be equally as friendly and nice to you. And I always appreciate that because, as I'm sure you realize, and because you worked in this industry for a long time, there's a lot of people who think that like their ish don't stink. And, he could act a lot different because he's pretty famous and pretty talented and, well off and whatever else. And he chooses not to. And I just always, I really, really appreciate, it was refreshing. Refreshing is the best way I could describe it about him.
Yeah. And that's going to be the exact way he is everywhere he's at. It doesn't matter. He's going to be the exact same always. And it's like just a normal, genuine, good person.
So Cowboys to the Super Bowl is what I'm getting from all of this conversation.
The next 7 in a row.
7. We're going to do 8 because you know what?
We got to beat Brady. Yeah.
We got to beat Brady. One up Brady. Yeah, we got next 8.
He's going to be pissed at me for putting that out there, but
no, that's a goal. No goal.
Yeah, exactly right. I'm like, hey, we said it now out loud. We're going to manifest it.
We're manifesting this into existence for all of us. Dr. Mann, thanks for hanging out with us. So where can the people find you, find your work? I mean, again, like
your Instagram with all the jerseys.
Yeah. Like you're not allowed to take my spot because I'm going to come see you as a patient here soon. So as long as you're not like jacking my vibe, then we're good. But like everyone else, where can they find you?
Yeah, you can look at my Instagram. It's at Dr. Brian Mann, DrBrianMann. The website's dynamicsportsmedicine.com. You can schedule online. We have a couple doctors there. A lot of high-end technology. Everything's gonna be very custom tailored. We take all insurances. So you can check us out on the website. Look at what we got to offer rather than me just vomit all the technology that we have, from hyperbaric chamber to dry needling to cupping. There's so many things that we offer. And then if you call, verify your insurance, you're going to know your cost up front. You can schedule online, whatever works for you.
That sounds amazing.
You heard the man.
As I say, no goals are too crazy. 8 million Super Bowls or signing back. And that's all she wrote. Thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.